At the end of last year, I decided to convert my metal shed that was being used for storage into my dream home gym, which if you're interested in seeing that process, I made a full video documenting the entire thing step by step that I'll share on the screen now. But I've made some changes since then, and I've had a lot of people asking if I could do some kind of home gym tour and just explain everything. So instead of making one long video where I try to cover every single piece of equipment that I own, I figured it would be more useful to just break it down by the actual workouts I do each week. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through my chest, shoulders, and triceps day. I'll show you the equipment I use for each exercise, explain why I bought it and how it fits into my workout, and then even give you alternatives that you can use if you're training with different equipment. But before I do that, I think it's super important that I mention I didn't start with any of this fancy equipment, and honestly, most of my physique was built with just free weights and a squat rack. For nearly 5 years, I trained in a spare bedroom, and the reason I bring that up is because I don't want you thinking you need all this stuff to build muscle. If you guys follow my content, you know that your body doesn't know whether you're using a fancy machine, a barbell, a dumbbell, a cable, or even a kettlebell. Your body only understands resistance and tension. So if you're consistently challenging a muscle and progressively getting stronger over time with a similar movement pattern, your body will adapt regardless of what equipment you're using. So getting into my training split is very simple. I train just 3 days per week. The first workout and what we're covering today is going to be chest, shoulders, and triceps. I then take a rest day. The second workout is legs. Then I take another rest day. The third workout is back and biceps. Then I take 2 days off before repeating the cycle again. And if you're curious about any of my programs, you can check them out at averagetojack.com, and I'll also leave my website link below in the comments. I have programs no matter your age, so if you're 20 or even 60, the equipment you have access to, or even if you're fat right now or skinny. But let's start with the equipment I use for day one. The first exercise is an incline press on the 3-in-1 converging chest press. So this machine does incline, it does flat, and it also does shoulder press. And what I like about a converging machine is that it more closely resembles the path your arms naturally take during a dumbbell press. So instead of pressing straight up and down on a fixed path like you would with the barbell, the handles are going to gradually move inward as you press, which allows for a more natural range of motion. But honestly, the main reason I went with this machine was because of the cost. I was just getting to the point where I needed heavier dumbbells for the pressing movements, and I currently only had about 55 pounds in the home gym. But by the time you start pricing out dumbbells in this economy all the way up to 120 pounds in pairs, you're looking at spending like $3 grand. And when I really thought about it, I only needed those heavier dumbbells for pressing. So it just made more sense to spend a fraction of that on this plate loaded machine that let me use the weights I already owned. So I still get a great pressing movement and the ability to do tons of variations. I can progressively overload it just like I would with dumbbells, but it just ended up being a much more cost-effective solution for my situation. Now, does that mean you need a machine like this to build a chest? Absolutely not. If all you have is a pair of dumbbells and an adjustable bench, incline dumbbell presses are a solid option you can do. You could also do dips with body weight and eventually add a weight belt or even do a barbell incline press. Once again, those are just simple, solid options. Now, the next exercise is going to be chest flies on the incline chest fly machine. I found this specific machine on Amazon for under $300, so it was honestly a no-brainer. It had just been released and I don't think it even had a single review at the time, so I definitely took a risk. And the one that I used to use at the commercial gym I absolutely loved. That's why I actually started searching for this one, but the cost was insane at like $3 grand, and this was just the closest thing I could find as a budget option. And one thing I've always liked about pairing a press with the fly movement is that they challenge the chest in slightly different ways. And I really feel like just those two movements alone are enough to build a pretty solid chest. But this machine feels great overall. It's stable and it's good quality, and it allows me to focus entirely on the chest without worrying about balance or coordination. But if you don't have access to a machine like this, then incline or flat dumbbell flies are going to work extremely well. You could also do a pec deck or even low to high cable flies. Now, would I recommend this machine? Honestly, probably not, and only because it has no reverse fly option to target the rear delts. I just think you'd be better off getting a pec deck and a reverse fly combo. I'm not sure about the quality, but I know there are budget options for those out there. I would say the biggest downside of this machine is not being able to do anything with rear delts. So after those two chest movements, we're going to move into shoulders. Most of the time, I'm performing lateral raises on my cable tower. It's actually the most expensive piece of equipment in my gym, but the build quality is on another level from the budget options, and it really feels exactly like something you'd find in a high-end commercial gym. And the exercises you can perform on this thing are pretty much endless, especially if you're a creative person. The pulley can be adjusted to different heights, and it also has a lat pull down and then a low row. The seat can be removed, and not only can you move it up and down, but you can also adjust both the thigh pad and the back pad depending on the exercise you're performing. So if you're creative, you could do a lot of variations with this. That means I can use it for everything from lat pull downs and seated rows to reverse flies and incline curls and just a bunch of other movements. That being said, if you don't have cables or a tower, I don't think you're missing out on some secret muscle building advantage. Dumbbell lateral raises have built massive shoulders for years and still remain one of the best delt exercises you can perform in my opinion. So instead of cable laterals, you could do them with dumbbells or even resistance bands, or you could simply just hold some plates in your hand beforehand if you don't have any dumbbells. Now, the last exercise of day 1 is a straight bar triceps push down on the cable tower. By the time I get to triceps, they've already been heavily involved in my pressing exercises, so I'm really just adding some direct work as extra credit. And if you don't have access to cables, and overhead dumbbell extensions work great, or you could even do skull crushers using a dumbbell or a barbell. Those are both going to be excellent options. But understand that all of this equipment was picked out because this is what I personally enjoy using after all these years of training. You absolutely do not need all of this equipment to build an incredible physique, but don't confuse the equipment with the reason I've made progress. At the end of the day, the principles are always going to be the same. Train hard a few days a week, progressively get stronger, stack the days, think in months and years and not weeks. And if you guys want to see day 2 and 3 where I'll walk you through my leg day and my back and biceps day, let me know in the comments below. And once again, if you want to learn more about the program I'm following or any of my beginner programs, you can check out averagetojack.com, which is going to be linked below in the comments. So I appreciate you guys watching like always. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.